KUAM News brought to you by GTA. We start with you, Subway and Chili's Grill and Bar.
A nonprofit corporation called Blue Continent Healthcare is seeking a tax-exempt designation from Governor Leon Guerrero, which would lower its borrowing costs. The law requires that a public hearing be held, which was conducted by GEDA. Among the few who attended was Congressman Michael San Nicolas, who raised multiple concerns.
I don't understand how GEDA is able to bring us to a public hearing without any documentation illustrating public benefit, and yet we're going to participate in a $600 million offering, not necessarily putting our credit on the line, but definitely having an involvement with a nonprofit entity going out and borrowing to acquire what was originally a for-profit hospital. If GEDA is willing to have a public hearing for a nonprofit organization and sign up for its triple tax exempt status without any documentation showing that it's for public benefit, is every other nonprofit organization going to be given the same kind of access to this kind of tax exempt treatment?
He cited as an example the Catholic Church, which faces potentially hundreds of millions in debt because of clergy abuse litigation.
Can they now come to GEDA and go through this process and proceed to go and get tax exempt status because it's going to be signed off by the governor? And is every other nonprofit organization going to be able to avail of that? So this is a very, very big concern, because I don't feel like the risks that are that could potentially manifest are being properly vetted by GEDA.
But GEDA CEO Melanie Mendiola said it's not their role to vet the borrower nor to determine credit worthiness. That will ultimately be up to the bond buyers.
Our position is to make sure that the public is aware that this entity is going out for bonds. They're seeking tax exemption. If people have issues with that, as Congressman San Nicolas did, then they should bring it. That's the forum for them to bring up their concerns, and those concerns should be then weighed and vetted by the office of the governor in her final decision to grant them that status or not.
She adds that neither Gov Guam nor GEDA has any liability with the bond borrowing. They're just fulfilling the legal requirement to conduct a public hearing.
This bond issuance has nothing to do with the Government of Guam's appetite to go after public debt. It is not tied in to the Government of Guam liabilities balance sheet. This is primarily, our role is to hear the public's comment, and then the governor's role is to then endorse this project as a public interest or not.
But San Nicolas remains unconvinced and says GEDA should hire a municipal advisor to weigh the implications.
I think GEDA needs to step back and vet whether or not this is something that's going to have any other risks, and truly determine whether or not those risks could potentially manifest. I'm really just going along with what we're talking about here and trying to put the pieces together, because there's zero transparency in any of this. There's no documentation. And this is a process that is not only opaque, but it looks it just doesn't look right.
But Mendiola says all the governor is doing is confirming whether the purpose for the borrowing, the continued operation of GRMC, serves the public good. Her analogy?
We're not here to talk about whether or not you're going to abuse your driver's license. All we're here to say is we do verify, in fact, that you are a resident. So in the way that a mayor's verification is there to verify your residency so you can apply for a driver's license, the governor's office is here to say whether or not you qualify for tax exempt status when you're going out to borrow.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.